It was early morning, and I was at the hospital for a routine checkup I hadn't had in years. As I sat in the cold atmosphere of the hospital corridors, I felt a slight nervousness. But the moment I stepped into his office, all my worries faded. My doctor was tall, with a calm yet strong demeanor and a charismatic presence. When our eyes met for the first time, I felt an inexplicable warmth inside me. After a brief introduction, he began the examination, his voice exuding a reassuring confidence. He was professional and attentive, his every movement both assured and gentle. Yet, there was a clear attraction between us, one that we both sensed. Every time he asked a question, I could feel that he saw the same spark in my eyes. This moment had already transcended a typical doctor-patient interaction. As the examination progressed, my heart began to race. With every small touch, a thrill surged within me. In my mind, I started imagining what it might feel like to be alone with him, even if only for a moment, surrounded only by his voice and comforting gaze. I pictured us sitting side by side, our hands close, sharing a coffee, while his eyes looked at me with a different, more profound intensity. Just the thought of it made a wave of warmth rise inside me. Maybe my thoughts were far from reality, but I couldn't suppress the excitement they stirred within me. When our eyes met again, those imagined moments grew into an even stronger desire. Although I tried to compose myself, I couldn't help but think about being with him outside of the hospital, imagining that special moment with just the two of us. When the examination ended, he returned to his desk to write up my report. I remained there, still under the influence of these brief but intense emotions. He glanced at me out of the corner of his eye, and a soft smile played across his lips. My heart pounded with excitement, and I felt an unexpected pull toward him. Those looks were silent but undeniable evidence of our shared attraction. Gathering my courage, I said, "Maybe we could grab a coffee, if you're free after work." My words seemed to surprise him, but the warm smile that followed made me hopeful. Soon, we were outside the hospital, sharing a moment with only each other, leaving the professional environment behind. At a nearby cafe, the warmth in his eyes grew even more noticeable. As our conversation deepened, I felt an intimacy beyond professional boundaries. Every word he spoke, every smile, made me feel an emotional thrill I hadn't experienced before. The rapid growth of our connection surprised me, and at the same time, stirred a passion within me that I couldn't contain. At one point, he gently took my hand, looked into my eyes, and said softly, "This isn't something that happens every day." My heart raced as my feelings surged. The intensity in his gaze was undeniable, and words felt inadequate to describe the pull between us. As we leaned closer, my breath caught, the space between us dissolved, and I felt the warmth of his presence, his lips meeting mine in a kiss that released all the emotions we'd been holding back. This kiss wasn't innocent. It was filled with a passion that revealed everything we hadn't spoken. Every touch, every second, seemed to strengthen an invisible bond between us. Though we both knew we had to part, the memory of that moment lingered for hours. Just before we said goodbye, he handed me a small note that read, "I won't forget this moment. I look forward to our next appointment." I felt a rush of joy and excitement. This wasn't just a routine checkup. It was, perhaps, the beginning of a new chapter in my life. As I made my way home, his face and the intensity of that brief moment stayed with me. The note he left was a reason to eagerly await the day I'd see him again. Deep inside, I felt that this chance encounter was just the beginning of something new and unforgettable. This unexpected connection had opened the door to a journey I hadn't seen coming, but one that I was ready to embrace.